Okay, Ramblers, let's get rambling.
Have you ever wanted to take a tour through a house while eavesdropping on the family that lives there? Presents might be your opportunity to do so. Written by David Koepp, directed by Steven Soderbergh, clocking in at a crisp 1 hour and 25 minutes, somehow managing a 2-hour runtime. We have the movie for stars Lucy Liu, which I'm not sure how she got top billing because she hardly has any kind of presence in the film, Chris Sullivan, Kalina Lang, and Eddie Madej, all four starring as a family who moves into an old house, and awaiting within this home is a presence. What is this presence? What is it doing there? What does it want? Well, it walks around the house and eavesdrops. On the IMDb page is billed as a psychological drama, a psychological thriller, physiological thriller, a drama, a horror, and a thriller. All these combined. Presence is none of these things. Presence is not scary. Presence is not frightening. It has 0 horrific moments. Do not walk into this film thinking you're going to be watching a horror movie. Don't think you're going to be watching a Blair Witch Project or Paranormal Activity. None of the above. Flips the haunted house genre on its head, allegedly, right? It terrifies you, then leaves your heart on the floor. A spellbinding horror film will leave you gasping for air. One of the scariest movies you'll see this year. These are just a few of the blurbs that are referenced, embedded within the trailer of this film. None of which apply. None. Again, do not go into this thinking it's a scary movie. It is not. In fact, the movie will go to great lengths to explain to you that this presence doesn't want to hurt anybody. It's a little bit of a mystery. There's one girl, a daughter in this family. She's just suffered a horrific loss. Her best friend has died from a drug overdose. She's traumatized by that. She's withdrawn. She has a sense of this presence that's within their home. She feels it. It seems to have focused on her, and there are effects and impacts that come out of that. The son, her brother, in which Lucy Liu, mother, has 1 or 2 creepy implied scenes. I'll leave it there. This family is very fragmented. It's very stressed out. You have a mother-son dynamic, and then separated you have a father-daughter dynamic, where each parent has bonded with one of their respective kids. The mother is very much withdrawn from the daughter. She has some kind of legal issues that she's gotten herself into some trouble, completely unspecified. We're talking about a film that is told entirely from the perspective of this presence that is within their house. This presence moves around and encounters family members going about their business and eavesdrops on their conversation, and that's almost the extent of it. So you walk into these little bits and pieces, people on the phone, people talking to each other. You get little bits and pieces of their lives explained through expositional dialogue, which isn't even expositional because you're walking in the middle of it. You don't know the context of any of it whatsoever. You just know that the mom's gotten herself into something. The father is suspicious of it all. The 2 parent-child groupings, all this family drama going on, and this presence that's just hovering around the house. That is basically the extent of this film. There is a conclusion to it. There is a bit of a mystery that comes to fruition at the end. It is very much a slow burn, which is why I say this is 1 hour and 25 minutes broken down into about a 2-hour runtime. If you like the slow burn, that's great. Typically, I do as well. This film probably would have been fine for me in that regard. However, I realized I'd have a problem with it within like the first 30 seconds. And that is the camera movement, the first-person perspective from the presence, where you are zooming around and you're moving. And there's so many... How to describe it? It's almost like first-person video game type stuff, which I remember from back in the day. But this on a big screen, theatrical presentation, it made my eyes hurt. I felt borderline getting a headache throughout the entire film, and in fact, for at least an hour afterwards, I had this eye pressure and brain fogginess, which was really disconcerting. It probably took away a lot of what otherwise would have been a lot of enjoyment. I went with somebody, didn't have that same problem that I did, so maybe this is just me. Take it with a grain of salt. The performances in this film are pretty solid, although I think Lucy Liu was completely useless. Chris Sullivan, who plays the father in this film, I think he does a phenomenal job. He's a great father. He's making every effort to be a great husband at the same time, but he's also very unhappy. He's very conflicted. Him and his daughter, Chloe, are the heart of this film. The other two, mother and son, they're almost incidental. And they're more annoying than anything else. They're almost the antagonists of the film, but not quite. There's no spoilers. No spoilers. Presence is a movie that I wouldn't recommend to anybody, not necessarily because it's bad, but because I felt unwelcome in it. If such a thing makes sense. I felt like as much of an intruder as this presence was in the house and the lives of these people. And it's very bizarre, but I found myself wishing I was watching another number of supernatural thrillers that I think were far better done while I was sitting there watching this film. And that says something. I found myself questioning, and actually so did my companion, I found out later, we were questioning the architecture of this house in our brains as we were watching the film. Although she did claim that she enjoyed it, when we were having a little powwow afterwards, we were caught up more on the architectural details of the film, more so than we were the actual performances, the story, the plot, everything that was going on. She said the house had too many windows. It felt like it lacked privacy. I noticed that. My issue was that there are parallel staircases in this home divided by a wall, and like the central area, you walk in, you go up, there's one flight of stairs, and then there's a wall, and there's another flight of stairs that goes up. You see this right from the entryway and the door, and the front door. Now I think, okay, well, this is an older home. Was this like servants' quarters upstairs for some rich people back in the day, because those stairs come right down into the kitchen, and the other is more the living area for what the rich residents of the homeowners would have had? I don't know. What does it say though about a film that engages you more about the incidentals than it does the actual storytelling? And overall, I can't see this as going to be a movie that I ever really want to watch again. It's just not. And I'm sorry to say that. I knew absolutely nothing about this film, although I did see a trailer prior to going in. The trailer didn't tell me anything. Okay, yes, there's a home, there's people in it, there's a presence, hence the title, cool. I was expecting some kind of horror film, some suspense film, some thrill. I mean, there needed to be something there, but I just felt like, here's a day in the life of a family that lives with a ghost. The end.